There we are. So the first quote is this one by Victor Hugo. Few people dare now to say two people have fallen in love because they have looked at each other. Yet it is this way love begins, and in this way only. So, very interesting.
So all these stories of telephone love are fabrications.
And internet love. Well, Victor wouldn't have known that was going to come, would he?
Yeah, he probably didn't have a telephone.
No. I would think not. Right, well, if Shelley, would you like to just introduce yourself to our small group? But you will go further. I promise you. You will go further.
I'll go off into the ether somewhere. I think I've had the pleasure of meeting nearly all of you, haven't I? As I've been popping in and out, and I know a few of you popped over to my blog as well, which is nice. But for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Shelley, and I'm a multi-genre author and also a writing mentor and a blogger for women in business. And I've written 18 books across a variety of genres. So I've clearly got far too much to say. It's non-fiction, self-help. I've done children's meditation books, and then I write teenage or young adult fantasy fiction, horror, supernatural type of books. So yeah, it's that's just the way my brain works, I think. But I met Lady through, I think it was Woman Who, wasn't it, through a networking event. We were put into a Zoom room or a breakout room. It was a little bit like speed dating, but yeah, we got chatting, and of course, the minute, as you probably all the same, the minute you start talking about books and writing, you know, that's it. We had to make another appointment to carry on the chat because everyone was kicking us out. But we've been chatting ever since, haven't we?
We have.
Yeah.
Hi, Sue. Welcome. Yeah, we have indeed. In fact, we've got into a point now that we can't go a couple of months without chatting.
I know.
Because we suddenly think, oh, are you doing this? Oh, are you doing that? And it just spins things off. So it's been absolutely great.
No, it has.
As I said, David is enjoying Les Mis. I imagine curtains up's probably about night at 7:30, so we can think of him and have Les Mis quotes along the way. In Sue's book, she actually has a quote from Victor Hugo. So I don't know if that's a Les Mis one though. Is it, Sue? You're on mute.
I don't know. I don't.
No, it's a different one, but we'll come back to that and mention that because Sue's book's like nearly there. So we're really excited about that. So we'll have a Les Mis love theme going throughout. David has recorded his word corner and word of the month, so we're not going to miss out at all. We're just going to have him via video instead. So that is just great. So we're just talking now about Tiny Habits, the book that we looked at this time. I didn't get any reply from BJ Fogg on his website, but I've read some of it. So if you have your books, can you put your books or your tablet on? And then Abby, can you take a screenshot, please? So again, slightly different covers, which is quite interesting. You don't want to be in the shot, disappear, or put it on video.
Say cheese,
or Tiny Habits. Oh, hang on, Sue,
hang
you
on.
in your book.
Hang on.
hang on. Here we go. Right. Okay. So if you put it back a little bit,
put it back a bit, Sue.
No, I need to come off. I need to come off blur. Hang on.
So you've got all that soft focus around you, haven't you?
Yes,
so
I've got to come off it. There we go. Okay.
Right. So put it so we can see you as well.
Back a little bit. Back a little bit.
Brilliant.
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Okay.
Say, make a change.
Cheese.
No, make a change, I said, but okay.
Make a change.
Yeah, got it.
Perfect. I will send it to him, the picture of us holding his book up, if nothing else.
Yeah, did you not want to be in it? You're on mute.
You're on mute. Still on mute.
Still on mute.
But you know, yes, you are.
I said I've just, with all the darkness and everything else, I thought I'd steer clear.
It was weird because you're right in the center of my screen, so I've got this people and then blank.
You have an advert for Lady Adi Publications.
Well,
You can go and alter it. It's not a problem.
Cool.
Right. Shall we go into little groups, or do you think we should just talk about it amongst ourselves as there's a few of us? There's only 9, isn't it? And I know, obviously, Shelley, have you seen this book at all?
I have seen it, but I haven't read it. So I've read Stephen Guy's books about habits, which was very, very good. So I can't comment on that one, I'm afraid.
Right, okay. That's fine. I think we'll stay as a main group. So what did you think?
Well, it wasn't a read to cover to cover type book, was it really?
I'm not normally someone who likes this sort of book, and I read it very, very quickly. So it was readable, but yeah, it was dip in, dip out.
Yes. Yeah.
I got to say, I got to about page 60. Mainly because I think I've read about 5 too many of these types of books, and they're all so contradictory. And I recently read another one which was pretty much the opposite to this, which was form massive goals, go for huge, great, big, ambitious goals, and go for broke and all of that kind of thing. And I was like, well, I can't do both at once. It's one or the other. So I think a lot of it's a case of finding what works for you, isn't it? And I just kind of think, well, I'm giving this other thing a go, so can't do both.
I think there's a few nuggets in there. Sorry, Chris.
What nuggets in particular, Jerry?
I love was it the Maui principle he has right at the start, where you just say it's gonna be a great day when you wake up in the morning. And when you see me first thing in the morning, it's not a pretty sight and I don't feel great. But when you say that in your head, and I say it 3 times, it does seem to make a difference. You kind of have an extra little spring to you. You go, oh, actually, it is going to be a great day. Yes, it is. And it just gives you a little bounce in the morning that you might not have otherwise. So I'm trying to get into that habit. I don't always remember to say it first thing, but maybe when I'm brushing my teeth or having breakfast, I'll remember and then I say it. So yeah, it's getting into that habit.
That's what it says, isn't it? Give yourself a trigger.
Yeah.
In order to trigger that habit, you have to associate it with something that you do every day, isn't it? So
yeah, and I think I'm only about similar to you, Kaz, maybe 60 odd pages in. I've not finished the rest of it yet, but I will do. But yeah, it might take a while.
I haven't read it all, but that bit, and I flicked through some of it today, but that bit stuck in my mind, Jerry, with where it says, as I get out of bed and put my feet on the ground, I then say, today is going to be a great day. And that reminded me of a quote from I think it was a US general or colonel, something like that I read in a book, leadership book. It said, start every day with making your bed.
Yeah.
By the time you've left your room, you've achieved something.
Yeah.
And it's just little things like that, isn't it? So,
mind you, that bit reminded me of a story that John told me when he was a little lad, that his mum used to shout, "Get up, John." And he'd put his foot out the bed and bang it on the floor as if he was walking around and up, just so he could stay in bed a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Did you click on? Because mums are pretty good at clicking on that sort of thing.
I think she probably did.
Excellent. Chris, were you going to say something?
Well, when I get up, I can't remember what it is I'm supposed to say, so that doesn't work. Charlotte beat me by 4 pages. I got to page 56. I've gone through the rubric. I've got the ability I can read, so that's not the problem. The prompt was reading it for the Book Academy, and that didn't work. And my problem was motivation. I just couldn't get any enthusiasm at all. I'm amazed I got to page 56. I mean, the only thing that's keeping me going at the moment is to find out whether that couple got the garden sorted out. So don't anybody tell me, or else I shall lose my one reason for carrying on for a few more pages.
There's always a cliffhanger, isn't there? There's always something that you say, don't tell me the ending. Includes this one.
I find it really interesting because I read this. I normally hate this sort of book. I can't normally get into it. I did find a lot of what it was that I do anyway. So it wasn't a lot of new stuff, but a lot of the things of like attaching a habit and what you want to do onto something you already do. I thought was really useful, and I've passed that on to somebody else, and they've already used that and said it's helped them already. So I think just the little bits are good, but the one thing that I think we don't do enough is celebrating when we succeed and think, oh, I failed that, so I'm not going to carry on. And I started writing down, it says they do things like physical movement. So when I'm quite physical, so whenever I've done something, I like do a little dance, and then I just thought trying to do a sound effect like ka-ching, I was just like, no, I'm never going to do that. But I'll do a little dance. So it was, really strange. Some of the things are just a bit strange, but I do them anyway. So it's helpful if you take it in those small chunks.
Reinforcing, yes. And remember, he's American, so some of the things that he says will be strange. And like Kaz, I have in the past had to read lots of books like this, so I don't find it as easy as something that's got a storyline and you just want to keep going to find out what happens in the end. So I haven't finished, but I know there's some useful things in here that I can pass on to other people. So you're right, Abby Rose, even if it's stuff that you do or choose not to do, there might be something in it for other people.
I don't know if this will help you, Chris, for getting towards the end, but at the end it talks about building tiny habits in other people. So when you want other people to do things that you want them to do, but they're not doing it and you're getting frustrated and there's argument and conflict, just praising them for doing little things was really, really good. I thought the little story that went with that was good.
Some of the techniques he spoke about, we did at university in motivational interviewing techniques and how to elicit change in others.
Yeah.
Which was when I got to that section of the book, I was like, tick. Yeah. And it's like all these self-help books, you kind of already know it. They're all very similar, and all they're doing is putting it in black and white for you.
Yeah, but it's putting it into practice that we don't do.
Yeah.
We know it all, and we all go, especially with like things like networking and stuff as well. Yeah, we know we should do that, but we don't.
I thought it was interesting that he brought the Maui principle as the very first thing, and as someone who loves Hawaii and in particular Maui, because that's where we celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary, I just remember it because of it being Maui. So what do you do then to celebrate wins, whether they're big wins or good things that happen to you? What do you do?
A good thing about the book is that you don't have to do very much. You only have to celebrate a tiny amount. And if you can get it down to homeopathic quantities of celebration, that should be immensely powerful.
So what do you do, Chris?
I just go, right.
Abby Rose does a full-on dance. You go, right. What else do people do?
I think if it's a big achievement, I say, yes. You'll hear me doing that, lady, when my book finally comes out.
What did you do, Jerry, when you opened that parcel and pulled your books out?
I don't know. I don't think I celebrate enough, maybe. I'm too self-critical. It's something I need to get past. I have a bit of imposter syndrome. I know we all struggle with that from time to time, but maybe I need to lighten up a little bit and do a little dance. So
that's why you need to do it on the little things, because when the big things happen, you know how to do it. So when you brush your hair without pulling your hair out or something, go woohoo. And something really little, really tiny, or you manage to walk across the room without spilling your coffee. Yes. Something really tiny, because if you can celebrate those tiny things, when you get to open your big box of books, you're like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, I do. I need to lighten up a bit, and I don't know where that kind of self-critical kind of mindset comes from, because my parents didn't really instill that in me. Just my nature, maybe.
We don't like to self-promote generally as a country, or even a collection of Great Britain and Ireland. But how do you praise your animals? How do you reward them? And you've got to just think, I can do that for myself at the same time.
A dead mouse. There you go. Give yourself a dead mouse every time you do something well.
Yeah, have a dead mouse.
Yeah,
it's pride, obviously.
It's interesting you're all talking like this. As a family, we always message each other or congratulate each other on any little victories or things. You might just send off a WhatsApp. I've just done this photo. I've completed a jigsaw. I've done this. And we just share it with the family, and the family all go, well, yeah, well done. So I think it's a family thing. Perhaps, Jerry, that's where your more reservedness comes from.
And I don't think, when you say it like that, I don't think I really had that so much. My parents were very loving and giving, but I maybe didn't get that acknowledgement for things. It's quite logical, isn't it? We could have a deep conversation on the psychology around this. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we were listening to our 4-year-old granddaughter in the car today, and she was singing completely out of tune, completely randomly, and we're all going, yeah, well done, great. Of course, when she does that when she's 16, we won't maybe do that so much.
Yeah, I actually ran a night walk last night, which I've done hundreds of, but I had 2 children booked on the walk that were under the age limit. They shouldn't have been put on it, really. So I was a bit dubious because of the weather's been really cold and we cover a lot of distance, and I was worried about whining kids halfway around and that impacting everyone else on the group. But to be honest, the children were absolutely brilliant. So at the very end of the session, I said to them, you guys have been so amazing. I said, I'm going to give you a very special ranger certificate, especially for coming along on the walk. And you could just see them lifting up with pride, just that acknowledgement of them coming out and being so good. And it was genuine. Like, they were great. They were asking me so many insightful questions.
So how can you do that for you?
For myself, exactly. I don't know. I need to think about this.
Okay, what about you, Kaz?
I'm the same as Heather a bit, really. I publicise it. I tell everybody, because it's nice to have congratulations from people. I think, and sometimes if I've done a big project with work and I've been working really hard, I will take a day off or half day off or something like that.
Great,
just to kind of give myself some special me time or whatever. But yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, brilliant. And what about you, Shelley?
I'm a lot like Jerry, actually. I think I take a day off when I've got a book release, but that's purely so I can manage the socials and all the launch stuff. But I think the last celebration I did my big shop at Tesco's. That was it. So yeah, I think I might need to do something. I don't know what. Chocolate would have to be involved, I'm sure.
As a nutritional therapist, I will warn you, don't use food in celebration. Food is for eating, for life. You need to do it. And if you start congratulating yourself with food, you start making connections with it, and then it becomes good food and bad food.
So what would you use instead then, Heather?
Use self-gratulation, like we've just been talking, praise, words of praise to yourself. So when you have children, rewarding them with sweets isn't always the answer. It's much better to give them true reward for their efforts by explaining what they've done and what they've achieved.
All right, cool. So all right then.
I'm getting an inspiration for a new book, Grumpy Habits, Why not making a fuss makes lasting change impossible? Have we got any editor offers for?
I think we could all contribute in like a little chapter for that book for you, Chris.
Yeah, it could work.
It's interesting though. I don't know whether you've found you've made a tiny habit. Perhaps you're already doing it, but you didn't notice you were doing that until you got something out of this book. So we've had an absolute pile of stuff to shred, primarily from Mum's house and going through all her documentation, etc. And that whole icky job of pile of blinking shredding. Who wants to stand in front of a shredder and shred for hours and hours and then empty the damn thing? Who wants to do that? No one. Well, the shredder used to live up the corner and it was really quite difficult to get to. So we've now moved shredder. We just did it. It wasn't, we didn't plan it. It's what's happened. And then I've realized it's a tiny habit now. So the shredder's now moved to where it's much easier to access. The pile of papers are just like shoved where it's going to annoy me most. And the rule was every time we passed a shredder, we had to put 3 sheets in it. That's it. It's all gone. It's all done. Job done. And I just thought, oh yeah, that's a tiny habit. And there's little bits now. Abby and I go tiny habit to each other on different things.
Well, you started off when we were younger. Like we put things on the stairs, and every time you have to walk up the stairs, you had to take something upstairs with you. You couldn't walk past it.
Yeah, but Candice manages to do that.
She didn't when she was little. She used to do it.
This is an adult.
But you haven't answered the question. Who's emptying the shredder?
Right, yeah.
Yes, I bet you've got a full shredder and no one's emptying it.
No, it's not the biggest shredder in the world. And I've been really pleased that the hours we've done in it, that actually we haven't put too much in, because then it goes and then it stops and then you break the whole shredder and have to buy a new one. Yeah, so it pops itself up and stops working if it gets too full. So
all the habits,
sorry?
all the habits we have are formed like that.
Yeah.
All he's done is describe how we form habits anyway. And all the habits you have now, like cleaning your teeth, brushing your hair, or even just getting up in the morning, have all been formed in the same process.
I think it's the natural way to do things by tiny things and small increments, and that's how quality assurance was built back in the day. But now everybody wants step change, so you've got to have a massive change because it's apparently more profitable or whatever it may be. So but I keep saying that you've got to understand small changes last longer.
They do. 15 minutes to tidy when you get in from the house every single time. House is tidy.
Or 3 minutes, as he says in the book. Put a timer on for 3 minutes. But yeah, interesting how we like that order and that time. Okay, anything else from the book before we move on to the next Les Mis quote and then we hear from Shelley?
It was just a quick pickup from me. Is it just me, or did anyone else think that typesetting was a bit small, the print? I mean, I've got good eyesight, good vision, but it kind of discouraged me to pick it up and read sometimes because I had to concentrate a bit more, focus a bit more.
Yeah. That's the wonders of these guys. You set up what type size you want.
Okay.
Whatever book I pick up is always exactly the same. Apart from yours, Jerry, actually. I don't know if you set yours up slightly differently, your ebook, but I couldn't adjust the type size on it.
Oh, interesting. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, I've got that on my to-do list to go back through the ebooks because of that problem. It came out big time with Amanda's book, which is about she will never, hi Cans, she will never ... And that was all very much the visually impaired people want to make it bigger, and the way the ebook has gone through hasn't. So I am addressing that.
Just a quick one for Sue. I noticed in there's something called a pearl habit around page 122. Create a new habit out of something that you don't like. So every time you're insulted or something upsets you, do something nice for yourself, or say something nice about somebody else, or do something. And I thought it was a pearl. I just thought that was very Sue.
Oh, thank you. I haven't quite got to that page. I'm nearly there, but I'll look out for it.
And can you tell us, Sue, why that's a link for you?
Because the book is called A Book of Pearls. So it's lots
And when?
1st of March, if we can manage to get it there. But we're just waiting for them to come back now to order the proofs, aren't we? And then it'll be all systems go.
Yeah, that's right, definitely.
Mm.
Okay. So the second quote, let me just share the screen again. And late from there. The second late Ms. quote is, to love or have loved, that is enough. Ask nothing more. Oh, what do you think to that? You agree?
Repeat it.
Sorry?
Will you repeat it?
Yeah. To love or have loved, that is enough. Ask nothing more. This Valentine month.
A bit flat.
Okay, was that how I read it, or the actual thing?
Just that this, it's kind of accept it, don't ask anything more of it.
Yeah, I agree. It's just like, actually, no, I want more than that. It's not enough. Yeah,
it's a bit flat.
And it's a bit sad for people that have experienced neither of those aspects of love. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's difficult to take it when you haven't got the context around it. So I don't think that's how Hugo wanted it to be felt. So I think he's much more positive about it in that field. So
who said it in Les Mis?
I'm not sure.
I think it's a quote from the book, not the musical.
Have you seen the size of the book? I mean, it is massive. Let me just take my background off. So, I mean, it is just humongous. And I do know someone who has read the original in French as well. But he's just a show off.
Has that got both?
Wasn't David?
Has it got both books in it? Because there are two.
Yeah, yeah. Be the
two.
Well, the first version I saw was 6 volumes.
Wow.
And of course you've only got 1/3, because he conceived 3 novels, each one showing a dimension of human oppression. So the first one was The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is about religion. The second one was Les Miserables, which is about society. And then the third one is Les Travailleurs de Mer, The Workers of the Sea, which is about nature. So that's the one with the octopus in it. And that's actually quite a moving story, but not so well known.
No,
so you've only got about 1/3 of it there.
Can you pop in the chat those 3? I want to go and find the third one now.
Yeah, I don't know if I can spell the travailleurs bit, but I'll have a go.
But is that travail as in work?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you can adjust my spelling.
Or you could just search Victor Hugo. That's fine.
Cool. Right, so we now have Shelley, and it's my delight to introduce her again to the group, and hopefully she's going to be a regular visitor. But one of the things that we talk about is the book world and different parts of it, and one of them is about book reviews, good or bad, how you get them, etc. And Shelley had a particular view on this, and I was really interested, so I asked her to put together a presentation and offer it to the Book Academy members. So over to you, Shelley.
Thank you very much. Am I okay to share my screen, ladies?
Absolutely. I've made you co-host.
Fabulous. Bear with me 1 second then. You guys down? There we go. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Fabulous. Okie dokie. So yes, I was looking at reviews from the kind of reader perspective and also the author or the writer perspective, and I just wanted to just talk through that with you really, and see if you've got any thoughts or experiences yourself as well. So from the reader perspective, why is it so important that we as readers review books? And from my perspective, this is how I see it. So I was obviously a reader before, long before I was a writer. And before I published my first book back in 2014, I was an avid book reviewer. And I set up my author platform. So I had my author blog, and everything I read, I would review, and I would share that on my my blog posts. And I actually ranked up a lot of interest for what I was doing. I met some amazing people. I found new favourite authors. So there were lots and lots of benefits from not just adding my review to Amazon, but also to my own platforms and kind of boosting my own profile before I'd even published my book. And these were some of the ones that I wanted to kind of talk through with you. So building a reputation as a trusted source. I mean, that might seem a bit daft if you're only reviewing 1 or 2 books a year. But the community that I'm a part of, predominantly on Twitter, is they read 300 plus books a year. They kind of do it as a full-time job, if you like, although unpaid. They have befriended the authors that they review, which is just lovely because that kind of brings the whole community together. They've been approached by publishers as well. So when they're sharing reviews, especially if it's a specific genre, I'll use romance as an example because that's huge. A lot of the publishers, the mainstream publishers, who they recognise this this mass community of readers who love talking about the books, who love sharing the books, who love swapping all kinds of things. I mean, there's the RNA Awards. They have an award for the best blogger, the best reviewer. It's part of their whole world really, because they appreciate all the people that are reviewing, reading and reviewing. And I say other opportunities there. So one of the ladies who she's actually done me some blog tours, book blog tours for a couple of book launches. So from her book reviews that she shared online, she was approached by a magazine, mainstream magazine, and she's now one of their main reviewers. So every time the magazine comes out, she's there. She's got a little column where she reviews the book. So there's a lot to it. One, it's lovely to actually send the author a message just to say how much you enjoyed their book, but there is so much more that you can actually do from reviewing if you want to kind of take it a bit serious, especially if you read lots and lots of books. So writing reviews from the author perspective or from the writer perspective, as I said, I started my author blog many years ago, and I built up this kind of brand, if you like, before I even published. It was just my way of giving back, of supporting fellow authors, finding new authors as well, and working out what they were writing and how they were writing it. So it was helping me to actually develop my own craft as well along the way. But these were the benefits that I could think of just from my point of view as a writer. So I was building a bank of content on my blog. And that's probably one of the biggest things actually for your author platform anyway, is that visibility. So it's actually ticking all the algorithms for the SEO, which is search engine optimization. So every time I share a book review as a blog post on my author platform, I'll then share it across my social media. and it drives people back to the website so that they're opening it, they're clicking, they're reading. They might be going and buying that book as well, so it's benefiting the author, but they're coming back to my website. And on my website are all my books, it's all my business information, it's everything that you need to know about me and my brand. So I'm driving traffic, which is really important. I'm also building that community, which is lovely. I've met so many amazing people who are now very, very dear friends, both book bloggers and also fellow authors. And I've had a lot of, we had a weekend in Matlock actually, which was quite nice, and a few shenanigans along the way. I know me and Lady, we've talked about shenanigans before, haven't we? And all of that has been about the book blogging community and authors. And like I say, befriending authors, befriending book bloggers, it makes a massive, massive difference. And as a writer, you've got that potential for collaboration. So I've been approached a couple of times to collaborate on anthologies, and that's purely off the back of me reviewing books and kind of as a writer and engaging with my fellow writers as well. So next one. So if you are an author, you'll understand this one, because every author on the planet wants those reviews. 5 stars would be fabulous, but we don't mind the odd 4. But you'll probably also know that getting book reviews is just like getting blood from a stone. So I've kind of listed a few things here that we can all try. Just, try and get those reviews in without using bribery and it costing us a lot of money. First one is actually to put it in the book itself, whether that's at the start. I mean, I've put it in the back there, but you can do it in the start, you can do it in the back. And that's, if you've enjoyed this book, let me know. Leave a review on Amazon or whatever platform that you bought it from, or on Goodreads. Let me know. That's one of the things that I've loved. I might not have got an actual review on a platform, but I've had an awful lot of messages either through Facebook Messenger, or people have emailed me just to let me know their thoughts. And that's been lovely, because they've been real personal touch. And often I'll ask for their permission to share that as well on my platforms, which is lovely. And actually, the book that I've got coming out is a young adult vampire book coming out in May. And I had a lovely message on Instagram from a lady, or young lady, who'd read it. So she read it on NetGalley as an ARC, and she was an illustrator. So she's actually done fan art of the main character, what she thought the main character would look like as she was reading the book, and she sent me it. And she goes, "Oh, I hope you don't mind." I was like, "Oh my God, this just made my day. This sounds absolutely fantastic." So again, that's something that I want to share, because it was just wonderful. It was really lovely. So yeah, pop it in the book and say, if you like this, let me know. Approach book bloggers. This one you have to tread very, very carefully, because not all book bloggers will read your genre. So I read a lot of non-fiction, and I read young adult fantasy. I don't read romance, and I don't read crime. So if you were to send me those books, they just wouldn't be of interest to me. But there are so many book bloggers out there who specialise in those genres. Non-fiction is a tricky one, because there's not a lot of book bloggers that will actually read and review non-fiction. So I think that's why I love sharing non-fiction authors, because I know how hard it is from my own journey as well. Approaching book bloggers as well, the majority of them, if they do it religiously and they're very good at it, they will have a sort of submission area on their blog, which will tell you exactly what they need from you. So a lot of them are at capacity because they just get so many books, but they'll tell you that it'll be there. So it's worth doing a little bit of digging and a little bit of research to find out who you can approach. The other one is ask your newsletter subscribers. I know Lady's done this with her networking book. Popped in, if you liked it, let me know. Brilliant. Pop on over to Amazon and she puts the links in. So anyone who's in your subscriber list, they've given their permission for you to kind of pop into their inbox and chat to them. So ask them for them to review it. Ask them to, for their feedback. Library Thing and NetGalley, they're a little bit different. So Library Thing is American, and it's kind of like a huge online book catalogue. That's the only way I can describe it, really. But you can submit for reviews on there. And NetGalley is an industry standard service. So this is where your publishers will submit books to get a bit of buzz going, to get those early release reviews. But there is a setup fee, and it is a subscription service as well, and I think it is quite hefty. I'm quite lucky that my publisher deals with all that side of things for me, but it means that I've got a lot of book reviews ahead of launch date, which is handy. Add your book to Goodreads. I love Goodreads. It's absolutely fabulous. And I often sign myself up for the reading challenge every year. But yeah, just adding it onto Goodreads, it just gets it in front of another audience. And the whole ethos around Goodreads is to get reviews. That's basically what it is. It's a reviewing platform rather than a selling platform. So you only go on there to leave a review or to find books that have got good reviews and you fancy reading. And then the last thing is you could create a street team. So I don't know if any of you have come across street teams before. They're a bit like cheerleaders. So if you've got people who you know already like your content, they like reading your books, you can ask them to be part of your street team. And what it means is you would send them a proof copy of your book. You would ask them to read it. You would ask them to review it as soon as it comes out and tell everyone they know. So you're kind of asking them to spread the word. That's what a street team does. And you can work out the logistics of that between you. But I know there's a lot of authors that I'm friends with have street teams. Again, a lot of them are romance authors, but it really works because it takes a lot of the pressure off you when you're promoting your books and trying to get those reviews in, because you've got a team, if you like, helping you along the way. So this is just my little story on how powerful book reviews can be. That's my debut book, How I Changed My Life in a Year. It was a blog to book project and I self-published it in 2014. My publisher has republished it just to get it to a new audience. It was also picked up by WF House for audio. So it gets royalties from kind of all areas, which is fabulous for me. And it's still my best-selling book of all time, like 9 years later. It's still the one that brings in the most royalties. Now, the reason that happened was I was on Twitter a lot. I take a lot of time and effort building my author platform and engaging with people on my social media platforms. So Twitter for me is my biggest platform. It's where all the book bloggers are. It's where all the writing community is that I engage with really, really well. And I engage with them. I read their stuff. I review their stuff. I share their stuff. I talk to them. And because I've been building up all those relationships, a lot like networking, what happened was Rosie Amber, who is one of Amazon's top reviewers, we were chatting on Twitter. She saw my book. She bought it. She didn't tell me she bought it. She reviewed it. She popped her review out on her blog post and also on Amazon, and it shot up the charts. And it literally How I Changed My Life in a Year. It literally did change my life. It was just amazing. And it got to #1 in self-help women's biographies 2 years in a row, but it stayed in the top 10 until my publishers took it down and redid it. It stayed there for 4 years, and that was all off the back of one book review. So they're powerful things to chase, powerful things to do, powerful things to use in your toolbox for your author platform, because you don't know what it's going to lead to. And yeah, that's basically my little whirlwind tour around reviewing and books. Lady knows the QR code vibe, so she's the one that got me to do it. So that's my QR code, so please feel free to scan it if you want to stay connected and read my book reviews as I share on my blog. But yeah, that's me done. If I just close that down and come back out. There we go. And that's it. So I don't know if anyone's got any questions about book reviews or comments or feedback. No. Frightened everyone to death.
It's fine. We will. I mean, I love the idea about the illustrator. And I know she did that, well, for probably lots of other reasons, but you could have picked that up as an author and then commissioned her maybe.
I think, yeah, I mean, from her point of view, that's probably the angle she was going for. because that's what she does as a job. So she got it spot on as well, which was really interesting. She just took one snapshot of the book, a specific scene, and drew it. And as I'm looking at the picture, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what was in my head when I wrote it. So she's good at what she does. And already I'm thinking I can get in touch with her and ask her to do something that maybe is a giveaway or a prize or something. So she's done her job well as well. But from my point of view, it was exciting.
Because Charlotte Kaz is here as an illustrator. Is that something that you've ever thought about doing?
Me? Yes and no. Mainly because yes, because I have in the past, and no, because it takes a lot of time, and if I'm not getting paid for it, I've done it in the past because, you know, I wasn't making any money illustrating, but now that I am, I don't really need to chase stuff like that, if you know what I mean.
It's a little bit like a lost leader.
Yeah, it is. And if it's something that really inspires you, then yeah, you know, I would go ahead and illustrate something. If I want to do a self-set project or something like that, then I want to kind of publicize a particular side of my illustration that I, you know, haven't had the opportunity to publicize, yeah, I would certainly use that as a tool.
Yeah, cool. And how do we get in touch with these book reviewers then?
You need to be on their blogs. You need to be reading their blogs. You need to be finding them on social media and engaging. So if you find the blog first, I mean, you can literally Google that, you know, romance blogs or crime blogs or whatever it is that you're searching for. Use hashtags on Twitter or Instagram. That's a great way of finding people. And just start chatting. It is exactly the same as networking. You've got to engage. It's no point just spamming them, if you like, with read my book, because that's going to get you nowhere. You have to build those relationships. That is key, definitely. But yeah, just look at online, find them, read them, engage with them, say that was a brilliant review, I'm going to check the author out, thank you for sharing. It can be that, you know, it's something so simple, but the more you do it, the more they get to know you. And then, you know, you're more likely once you approach to say, you know, I've got this book coming out in March. Would you be willing to do a promo or read and review? I mean, sometimes I don't have the capacity at the moment to read many books. So what I'll do instead is I'll say to the author, I can do a promo for you, which is just maybe an extract to cover the sharing the links, an author bio. So it's still going out to my audience and helping them sort of boost their profile, but I haven't been able to review it at that particular time. So yeah.
Any other questions for Shelley while we have her?
Yeah, I found it really interesting that you were saying that Twitter is the biggest platform, because I do have a Twitter account, but I literally haven't used it for about 6 years. And I've got an author friend and she keeps saying to me, Jerry, get yourself back on Twitter. And she's published children's books and she's got thousands of followers. She said the writing community is so much bigger on Twitter. So that's another good prompt for me. So that's my tiny habit for this week.
Your tiny habit.
I'm going to go and do that straight after this Zoom.
What's your Twitter handle, Jerry?
It's Jerry the Ranger, Jerry with a G. So, yeah, just Jerry the Ranger all together. Thanks, Shelley. Yeah, I will.
I'll stalk you, make you do it.
Yes, thank you. Please, I haven't been active. And the other thing I was going to ask you, Shelley, you were saying about the author blog post, because I'm still developing my website, lady. I'm hoping to finally get it up and going, but that was something that was in my head anyway, to review books. So is it best to do that on your main website, like you say, because it drives traffic there?
I do. Yeah.
It can just be a tab off all the other services you're offering.
So so on my website I've got the blog. That's what it was originally. It was just the blog, and then I added pages, so it's a WordPress site. So if you go and find my blog now, you'll see across the top, you know, read my books, my interviews and all the rest of it, and I've just added those over the years. And what I'll do is I'll have books I've reviewed, so I've got a little drop down where you can literally go in and read and see every single book that I've ever reviewed, you know, and click on them and link them. But yeah, I use it as a main tool. So it's my main website, I'll do the book reviews, I'll do author interviews, I'll do promos. I do talk about writing, so I've got a camper van, so I go on little mini writing retreats, so I'll do little bits about that as well, which are just a bit of fun. And occasionally I'll share personal stuff. And randomly, they're always the ones that seem to get the most engagement. But
yeah, I guess because people can relate to that more. Because
Yeah.
I was thinking, do I keep my professional page separate from my book reviews, but keep it all together then?
Or
Just
keep
have
it all
different tabs.
together. They get to know you. If you're reading in your genre as well, it's going to make sense, isn't it? So obviously I read a lot of young adult fantasy fiction, horror, supernatural, which is what I write. So if I'm reviewing a book, someone can kind of connect me. Oh, right. Oh, you read that and you write it. So that kind of helps boost your own profile at the same time.
Yeah, Heather's just commented I could do wildlife blogs too, which is something I was also going to do as another tab on my website.
Yeah, I've got a little tab, camper van writer tab, where I share all my travels.
Oh, amazing! Yeah, because and that's what, as you say, would grow your following. One final point then, and I'll finish. But when you're doing a book review, can you do it as a little vlog, or do you just always?
Oh yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
more
of course you can.
engaging, do you think, to do it that
Yeah,
way?
videos are king at the moment. So the SEO loves video content. So yeah, absolutely. And if you added it into a blog as well, you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. But with vlogs, you'd have them on YouTube, you can put them on TikTok, you can do them on Insta Reels, Facebook Stories. So you can actually repurpose that content across all your platforms.
Okay.
And Jerry, you have to do it for you, not for the people you work for.
Yes, yeah. 100%.
Make it very clear. It comes back down to you. And of course, it'll be good. You could do bits with the professor in there. Professor is Jerry's owl. Barn owl, yeah?
Yeah, barn owl.
Because it's so white, I kind of think sometimes it's like a snowy owl, but
yeah, and he's my writing companion. He comes and sits beside me when I'm writing.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And
Just
I'm writing
a blog post about him. That's it. Sorted.
Yeah.
Everybody
so,
in.
Yeah.
Even though that he's going to be your next book, you need to start telling people about him more and have him, he could really fly, if you excuse the pun.
It is amazing when you've got a hook like that. So I go to face-to-face networks at the moment, and people I've never met before will come in and go, oh, I knew you were here because I saw Snoopy in the car park. And that's the name of my camper van.
Oh,
and because I've been talking about, me and Snoopy are going to Wales, and me and Snoopy are doing this, and people have clicked that I've kind of made a brand out of it without ever really intending to. So yeah, I go, I saw Snoopy in the car park, I knew you were here. I was all right, okay. Hello, who are you?
So
like you say, it's having that hook, isn't it? It draws people into you, yeah.
So you need to hook up with Shelley for your book, because that's non-fiction and all about great quotations. So yeah, brilliant. Right, okay. Any other question for Shelley?
I have one, if I may.
Yeah.
Shelley, of the books that you've written, which is the one with the most reviews, and what did you do different?
The one with the most reviews is the How I Changed My Life in a Year. I think it's at 300 and something reviews. And actually, that's what I did. When I got to 299 reviews, I actually did a LinkedIn post going, right, this is messing with my chi. I need somebody to write me a review and get me into the 300s. And then all of a sudden, I got about 10 reviews as people jumped on. And I thought, oh, God, I must try that again in the future.
Yeah. So it seems to be always through social media for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And going back to the celebrations, social media is that great way of getting the affirmation out there, because people like that. Social media just seems to be wrapped up in great stuff, and why not use it? Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. And I can say we could wave some of your books. Actually, I've got them up there at you, but yeah, that's lovely. And of course, we could be thinking that every book that we talk about in the Book Academy, and now we're on to number 13, that it would be great to do a review. And if you did a review for them and said, and I saw it at the Book Academy, that would help to promote this group, because we need more members. And And also help when I follow up and say to them, let's do a podcast, if they've had 10, 12 or 20 reviews on their book, all connected to the Book Academy, that could be quite amazing.
Start your own hashtag, Book Academy Reviews.
Yeah, okay.
Tap into that. There's I review books for a review team, and it's Rosie Amber's book review team. So it's RBRT is the hashtag. But every Tuesday she runs the Tuesday book blog on Twitter. So it's hashtag Tuesday book blog. So it's all books, all blogs, not promotions. It's got to be a book review. It's got to be a blog. And it trends every Tuesday, so it's a great day to be sharing your book blogs.
Right, brilliant. Some thoughts on that, Heather, as you're the social media queen?
I was sitting here quietly thinking, yes, there's some really good advice there. And I've always said that Twitter is where certainly the media are. Publishers, press releases are generally Twitter-based. And you'll find a lot of journalists on there as well. And blogging has always been the #1 way to attract anything to your website. And so keeping your blog on your own website is most important, rather than, you can farm out the odd guest blog as long as you're getting a backlink back to your website, but certainly keeping it there. So I think Jerry would do well to start a blog. And it also gives you that content for the posts, because you're always racking your brain. And again, it's brilliant to hear, finally, having been over sort of 20 years in the business, someone actually talking about talking to other people rather than just posting. Because it gets me really riled that people are like, I don't know what to post, and they're just putting out posts, but they're not actually having conversations. And without the conversations, it's just branding.
Yeah, all about the engagement.
It is.
Yeah.
It is indeed. So yes, I've just been sitting here quietly. That's why I've not passed comment, because there was some really good stuff in there. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.
Excellent. Right. Well, unfortunately, Shelley can't be with us for the rest of the hour. But just before we go to our break, I'm going to just give you one more shout, if I can find it again, of the Les Mis quotes, and see what you think to our third one. And here we go. So share the screen. So life's great happiness is to be convinced that we are loved. So life's great happiness is to be convinced that we are loved. And again, it might be a different way of putting it because it's old language. But what do you think to life's great happiness being convinced that we are loved?
Yeah, I think if you know you're loved, you feel happy, don't you? So that one rings true for me.
Yeah. I was going to say they probably suffer a little bit in translation from the original French.
Yes, I'm getting the feeling that might well be so. Right, okay.
I've just got Moulin Rouge and things going around my head from the last one. To be loved is to be loved in return. It's all sort of linked, and I think that's a nicer way of putting the same one as the last quote. So
thank you, Abby. I was just trying to work out the whole time for a while what is that quote from, which I could actually click on rather than. So I would not have put it as Les Mis, but obviously I haven't read the original French for many reasons.
Yeah, but Moulin Rouge is French as well, so maybe they've borrowed it from.
Yeah, but
Hugo
not in French for me.
Excellent. Right, well, we're going to have a 5-minute break, and so we'll be back. What's 5 minutes from now? 28 minutes past 8. So we'll keep with the 8 then. 20 minutes past 8.
Bob o'clock. 8:08.
Not 20 minutes past 8, Mubs. 8 minutes past 8.
Oh, did I say 20?
Yeah, that'd be a bit longer.
Yeah.
So maybe just say 8:10, and then you'll be safer.
All right then. So see you in 5.
Thank you.